Hey everybody, this is John from Paddle Monster. This is just a quick editorial and update on what's going on with everything. Um, we had a fantastic race in Cape May last week in New Jersey in the U.S. My daughter and I drove up from North Carolina to race in the Around the Cape race for the DeSatnick Foundation. I'm connected to the race because of my family, so it's really close to my heart. They raise money for people who are recovering from spinal injuries. And something happened this past weekend that I thought was super important for race directors and for competitors alike. But I just figured I want to talk about it because it was really cool. So the race typically goes clockwise around Cape May. Cape May has a canal that goes into the Delaware Bay. There's the Cape May Lewes ferry that goes in and out of there. The race usually goes it goes clockwise, so you go out past the Coast Guard, out an inlet with two jetties, into the Atlantic Ocean, around the point in the lighthouse, into the Delaware Bay, then back into the canal, and back to the finish. So typically that's the direction that we go in. This year we had a front that moved through and changed the conditions. So for every race director and safety crew, even in the racers, they are we're all looking at the weather 2 weeks out, 1 week out. Guaranteed, anything that's 2 weeks out is going to be the opposite. That's actually usually a good rule of thumb, but we are all watching it, and it looked like there was going to be a change, and sure enough, 3 days in advance, it looked like the wind was going to be the opposite of what would be optimal. So it was going to be 12 to 18 miles an hour out of the south. I'm sorry, out of the southeast. So what that meant is that if we went in the traditional way, the moment we hit the Atlantic, we'd be going into a headwind. We had an outgoing tide in the Delaware Bay, so the moment that we hit the bay, we would be going into a 6 to 8 knot current, maybe even more. So it would make 8 miles of the race kind of hellish. So the race director and the safety team watching it all closely, and then came to the conclusion morning of the race that the best situation for the race, the safety of the people, the enjoyment of the race, is to reverse the course. Now, it sounds easy, go that way instead of this way, but there's a lot of things that go into it. So for race directors, make sure that you have in your permits, if you're getting permits for your races, if you're required, some flexibility to reverse a course if it's a loop course, or make modifications if possible. So that's like a really good key learning for other races, because you want to be able to have that flexibility that if everything turns bad, you can make it as fun as possible. And you want as fun, fun is safe, safe is fun. These are, even if you talk about like a M2Os, in Molokai, they have to have safety boats. So it is the pinnacle of our sport in extreme skill and conditioning, one of those types of races, but they still require safety boats because, in the end, you want to test yourself, but it's not, a survival thing. So in this race, they had the flexibility in the permits, and that they circumnavigated the island, so it wasn't necessarily which way they had to go. But one thing that they had to do, because this race in particular did a really good job of getting safety boats and putting them all within a line of sight. So there's never a point in the race where you don't see a safety boat, a jet ski, somebody as part of the race that you can flag down. So, and you constantly have people that are going by just checking to see if you're all right, which is great. But what happens is, if we were going clockwise at the end of the jetty, for instance, the race starts at 8. So they're required to be at the end of the jetty at 8 o'clock till 9 o'clock. So that safety boat, that volunteer knows I've got this job from 8 to 9. And everybody knows where they need to be at certain times. They're there much earlier, and then they wait till the last person passes them, and they're free to go. So when you reverse the course, the people that had to be at the end of the course at like 9:30 now have to be there at 8 o'clock. So everything kind of changes. So logistically, for a safety team, that presents some challenges. But so the other learning I have for your safety crew is and for a race director is to have a dedicated safety person that can be point on that, and they're the ones that are talking to all the boats. They're the ones that are talking to all of the safety people. Because as a race director, you're talking to safety, you're talking to the town EMS, you're talking to the racers. The racers, you have to do your safety meeting for the racers. You have all these things to do. So it's good to have that point person that can say, all right, we're reversing it. I have to reorganize where everyone's going to be. Are we good? I've got this. And then they go, and then they let you know that everything's good. So that was the second learning. The other challenge is for the racers. So some racers just wake up and they say, how hard can it be? Hold my beer, and they get in. Other racers are looking at charts. They're looking at Windy and Fintusky and every single possible weather app, and they're getting navigation charts, and they're looking at depths. And, there's a racer that does really well in Cape May that actually knows how many meters offshore he needs to be in 40 feet of water where there's a deep channel. And the difference is between 7 and maybe 10 miles an hour if he's in the channel. So it's a big advantage, and other racers, they say, I know that at the jetty, I'll be about an hour in. I really have to make sure that I've drank a certain amount and I've had something to eat because I still have 2 or 3 hours left. So they have these markers in there. You plan the race like that. You plan it into sections, and we have articles and videos about that on Paddle Monster. But so in this case, they would have to reverse that. So everything isn't the same. They have to go maybe off of time. Maybe they really have to pay more attention to drinking every 10 minutes, eating every 30 to 45 minutes. It's just a little bit different. And also communicating that, because some people are really anxious. The people that have never done the course, they don't know what they're getting into. So they're super brave about stepping up to the starting line and paddling in, and it's really cool. But they can be anxious about those things. So if all of a sudden everything changes and they kind of don't know where they're going, or it makes them anxious, super important to remind them just to, in general, follow the person in front of you. And if it's a loop course, the easiest thing to tell them is to, in this situation, we were going counterclockwise, keep the land to your left. When you go, out of the canal, because it's on both sides. But giving them those tips and those reassurances, and let them know that, if you're not one of the first couple of people, it's not super critical that every aspect of this course, because people are going to be grouped up enough that you're going to be able to see things. And again, line of sight with safety boats, always a good idea to have enough safety boats where you can see the next boat when you pass them. It gives them a little bit of mile marker kind of thing. So anyway, super important. I thought they did a phenomenal job. Everybody in general was like really, really happy they reversed the course, because it was a super fast course that day. We had I know personally, I wanted to do it in under 3.5 hours, but my goal was 3 hours for this course. When they reversed the course, we ended up doing it in a little over 2.5 hours. So that was, and at some points we were hitting 9 miles an hour and just keeping a paddle in the water because of the current. So it was really enjoyable and really cool. And also everybody felt relieved, or at least that I was speaking to, felt relieved when they got in the water, knowing that they were going to have that more favorable course in the ocean. So anyway, I think the big takeaway here is that for race directors and racers, knowing that they're prioritizing safety, to have a little bit of flexibility, to make those race day decisions based on the best weather and conditions data, and to communicate that to the racers as early and clearly as possible. Again, if you have a race where you don't have the ability to have that many safety boats, you might need to communicate a little bit more on those milestones and those markers, than you would normally. But in general, as long as you're communicating those things, and you have that flexibility, you're in a good spot. And, with the Carolina Cup, we always made the decision on the graveyard the morning of the race, because there were at least 3 3 years that I know of that when we went to bed, we thought it was going to be one thing, and when we woke up, it was the opposite. And I'm talking, we thought we were having a south wind and it was north. I mean, just completely the opposite. So we would switch it in the morning based off of that information. And in the end, it most of the time worked. There were some years where people questioned whether we should go one way or the other. And we even considered at one point saying, go in either way, whatever way you want to go left, go right, if you think that's fastest. I think Danny Ching had offered that suggestion, and we really wanted to do that, but it became logistically a little bit of a nightmare. But anyway, really great race for all of you race directors that have to make these really difficult decisions. As long as you're making those decisions based on that best information and keeping the racers safe and really that experience of that race, you can sleep at night and you made the best decision. So that's enough about that. Now, Paddle Monster. We are going to be doing a 100-day challenge that starts on July 9th. We'll be working with a couple of sponsors, a bunch of giveaways, and it should end, I believe it ends October 19th. So very similar to the 100 challenge. We're going to have tiers of 100K, 200K, 300K, and other tiers. We're going to have some giveaways and some a couple of raffles. So if you get past a certain tier, you're going to get stickers. You get past a certain tier, you can get a raffle to get some things. We're solidifying some swag and some for y'all. So it should be great. The new platform, a lot of changes over the last 3 weeks. And we got a bunch more improvements coming, so we really appreciate it. It's been growing. A lot of people are on there meeting up for boards. We've got 18 people as of right now training for Chattajacks. We've got meetups that we're setting up for breakfast, for dinner, a place for you guys to store your bags. And also we're going to be coordinating the shuttle. So when you're finished the race, who's driving with who. So it'll be really beneficial. And we've got people that are racing every weekend. And that's really the whole goal, is like you be around people who are training and racing so that you can, if you need a ride, if you don't know anyone at the race and you want to get together with them, you can put a note and you can put a meet up, and really that's what we wanted to foster. So that community and that ability to buy, sell, borrow, trade boards, celebrate each other's successes, and be there for each other to hold each other accountable, and also to support our training. So hope you are enjoying Paddle Monster. If you're not on, I hope you sign up. It is a fantastic community, and again, it's grown. We've grown about 60% in the last quarter, and we're really excited with where it's going. We're looking forward to some new things. So anyway, everyone have a great weekend. If you're racing, go get it. If you're training, show up and definitely take some photos, post them on the platform, and have a great weekend. Love the conditions.